The high school football season normally means you're getting ready to head down the stretch of the regular season, but tonight in 2020, it's a little bit different. It's playoff football here on OH Report. Crestview hosting the Evergreen Vikings. The kickoff's coming up next. Hello, everybody, and welcome to week number 7 of the 2020 high school football season from Crestview as the Crestview Cougars take on the Vikings of Evergreen High School. I am Brian Harder along with Bruce Ryrick, and this has been a very strange football season to say the least. We're in mid-October, and it's playoff time.
Yeah, Brian, and it's a beautiful night here at Crestview. Everything is action-packed. You take all the records, tear them apart, throw them away, and we're going to start the second season right now. I know Evergreen's coming in with an 0-6 record, but doggone it, all you got to do is start the second season, and here we go. Anything can happen.
Last week, Crestview ended the regular season by defeating Plymouth 33-12. Chase Shiflett rushed for 142 yards and 1 touchdown as Crestview won its 6th in a row over Plymouth. And in winning that game, they are part of 3 teams that are sharing the Firelands Conference Championship with Monroeville and Norwalk St. Paul. And they had a little bit of confusion as who was on what side of the field, so they have to switch sides. And hopefully that's not a sign of eerie things to come tonight here at Crestview.
When they had the coin toss, Crestview they didn't win the toss, but they want to receive the football. They had to receive it at this end because Evergreen's going to defend the other end, and the officials just forgot it, and they just had to move them around.
Alex Pete will kick off for the Vikings of Evergreen. They are 0-6, and they are kicking off to the Crestview Cougars, who will start action here in week number 7. Officials are waiting, and we are just moments away from the opening kickoff. I think everybody's on the right side of the field.
I think we're all lined up and ready to go, waiting for the officials to get established, and it's showtime.
Evan Hamilton back to receive for the Cougars. He's not going to get a chance, though. The ball's going to be kicked off one of the up men for the Crestview Cougars. It's going to be recovered by Evergreen, so Evergreen is going to go first offensively as they recover, or are they going to say it goes to Crestview here? He pointed the other way, but it looked like it was recovered by Evergreen.
Yeah, I think the officials are a little on mixed up side. Evergreen did receive that.
Yes, Evergreen will be on offense first. We'll take a look at their starters on the night here in week 7. Peyton Boucher is the quarterback. Brock Hudick and Tanner Pollard are the running backs. Colin Smith, Jacob Riggs, and Riley Dunbar, the receivers. Up front, it's Scheller, Vance, Jake Fuller, Logan York, and Sam Warline. So it's 1st and 10 after all of that mess for Evergreen at the 30-yard line. Boucher is going to roll to his right. Feels the pressure right away. And he is going to go down at about the 31-yard line. The defensive starters for Crestview, and this is a pretty good unit, Bruce, that Evergreen is going to go against tonight.
21, Addison.
You know, that
Take a
was
look at their defensive starters after this next play.
Are the tacklers on the play?
So no gain, second down and 10. Boucher will send 3 receivers in the formation, 2 to the left and 1 more to the right side at the top of your picture. Boucher's going to run it, and he runs right into the teeth of the Crestview defense. Nowhere to go as he runs right into Frank Artis, the defensive starters for the Cougars.
For the Cougars, number 52, Aiden Gotzi, along with 17, Frank Artis.
Well, we'll take a look at that defensive unit after the next play. 3rd down and 10.
For Evergreen.
And the offense for the Vikings struggling here early after recovering a fumble on the opening kickoff. Boucher out of the shotgun. Boucher keeps it, goes up the middle, gets about 6 yards to the 36-yard line. Now we'll get a look at the defensive starters for the Cougars up front. It's Jorel Taylor along with Frank Artis. The nose tackle, Mason Ringler. The linebackers, Hayden Morse, Connor Morse, Aiden Gotzi, and Briar Gotzi. The corners, Ross Kuhn and Evan Hamilton. And the safeties, Reamer and Tanner Moore.
And you got to like what Evergreen did. They came out, you're 0-6. Let's surprise it. We need to do something, mix it up. Let's try an onside kick. They had an onside kick. They recovered it.
23.
Evan Hamilton back to receive the kick for Crestview, so they should have pretty good field position. Hamilton up across midfield, still on his feet, finally brought down at the 44-yard line. The offensive starters for Crestview, and this is led by a couple of big playmaking options that they have offensively for Crestview. The quarterback, there's the quarterback, Ross Kuhn. The fullback, Chase Shiflett, who is their leading rusher. The fullback, Briar Gotzi. The receivers, Hamilton, Gabe Smedley, and Frank Artis. Up front, it's Gotzi, Ringler, Harmon, Stewart, and Morse. So Kuhn out of the shotgun. He's going to keep it. Gets down to about the 35-yard line. The defensive starters coming up for the Evergreen Vikings. They're led in the backfield by Colin Smith, Jacob Briggs. The safeties, Brock Hudick and Peyton Boucher. The linebackers, Pollard and Herdman, along with Jake Fuller. And the ends, Logan York, Landon Vance, Logan York, and Brandon Matuzak. Gain of 8, 2nd down and 2. Kuhn again, the senior. He's going to fake it. He runs. He's got a 1st down as he stood up at about the 31-yard line. Over to make the play for the Vikings, Peyton Boucher, the quarterback turned defensive back, and the chains are moving for Crestview, so they look pretty efficient on their first drive.
You got to like what they're doing out there. They're giving the ball to their leader on the field, their quarterback. He's making the decision. He's making the reads. And as the coach, you want to put the ball into your playmaker, and that's what they're doing right now.
First drive of the ball game for Crestview, no score. 8:41 to go in the first quarter. Kuhn again out of the shotgun on the jet sweep, coming to the near side. Ball handed off to Chase Shiflett, and Shiflett inside the 30 down to about the 26. Coming up defensively, Sam Warline. It'll be a gain of 4, 2nd down and 6.
And they're mixing things up a little bit out there. You know, the quarterback ran the first couple plays. Your linebackers start keying on him, and then they give it to the jet sweeper.
Hamilton lines up wide to the left there at the top of your picture. They'll stay on the ground. Again, that's Shiflett. He powers his way inside the 20 to about the 18. That's another 1st down, brought down by Jacob Briggs. Round again, that's Shiflett. He powers his way inside the 20 to about the 18. That's another 1st down. 603 yards and 8 touchdowns. So when they want to go to their ground game, Shiflett's their guy.
And that's something you don't see. The quarterback taking the snap directly from the center and handing it off. They're going to the old I formation.
Shiflett. Nice cut back on the left side, wrapped up by Peyton Boucher.
the ball carrier for the Cougars.
So he'll get about 2.
And you got to like what they're doing. You got to like how that offensive line of Crestview is starting to have a little, they're taking over that offensive line. And it's going to be a long night unless Evergreen can put a stop to this run game.
They'll stay in the I formation. Like to stay on the ground. A gain of a couple down to about the 12-yard line.
And again, this is something you don't see a lot of football teams doing, taking a snap directly from the center, turning around. They have a lead fullback. He's leading in on the linebackers, and that offensive line is starting to open up some gaps out there.
Third down and
3.
Cougars, the ball at the 12-yard line.
Ball resting at the Evergreen 12-yard line. Brian Harder, Bruce Wyrick from Crestview High School. Playoff football here on OH Report. And Crestview threatening on their first drive of the ball game. That's Shiflett. Tries to cut back and gets down to about the 10-yard line, wrapped up by Colin Smith. And that'll make it 4th and short, and decision time for the Crestview coaching staff. And I got a feeling they're going to go for it here early.
Yeah, your offensive line's starting to dominate a little bit. You're moving the ball. You haven't had any negative plays. Look for a play-action pass. Look for the quarterback to keep the ball. Playoff fake.
6 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Backs again in that I formation. Shiflett. He's going to have the first down. It'll be 1st and goal. He runs right into the teeth of the defense, but the line gets enough of a surge to get a first down for Crestview.
And that's one of the things a lot of fans, they don't really understand. Your backs and your quarterback and your fullback and your running back, they're only as good as those 5 young men up front who are opening up the seams. It's the offensive line that's right now starting to dominate.
1st and goal from the 8-yard line. Kuhn now backs into the shotgun. And they'll give it to Hamilton around the edge. He gets knocked out of bounds at about the 3-yard line, so he's denied the end zone by Jacob Riggs.
The Cougar ball carrier. Tackle on the play by number 11.
There you see a nice job by Riggs, forcing him to the sideline. That'll make it 2nd and goal from the Evergreen 3.
And you're becoming a nightmare for the defensive coordinator for Evergreen. What are they going to do? Line up in the tight formation, spread it out, shotgun underneath the center?
Shiflett now in the backfield along with Kuhn. That's Hamilton in motion. They fake it to Hamilton. Kuhn gets stood up, gets into the end zone for a touchdown. Crestview is on the board. And Crestview takes an early lead on the 3-yard touchdown run by Ross Kuhn.
And you take a look at what they're doing. They are going to run the football tonight. They took that first drive. They didn't try one pass. They just ran the football right down the field for the touchdown.
That's the 5th rushing touchdown of the season for Crestview. The extra point up and good.
One of the things that coming into this ball game, Crestview, they want to have a balanced offense. They want to throw the ball and they want to run the ball about equal times. And right now, their offensive line is dictating what they're doing out there, and they're just running the ball at will, basically.
Well, and if that defense can come in and play like they did on that first possession, this could be a long night for Evergreen.
Yeah, and that's one thing, one team's 5-1, the other one's 0-6. They've had trouble scoring this year, but they do play in a very tough conference, Evergreen. Every team in there is dynamite, the conference that they play in. And so they're not a slouch team. They're a very good football team, and we're going to see what either team's made of tonight.
So it'll be the first kickoff return of the night for Evergreen. Grant Richardson, a freshman, back to receive, along with Alex Pete. Evergreen 0-6 out of the Northwest Ohio Athletic League. Going to be a low line drive kick, which will be returned up to the 30 and not much beyond that. So go ahead, ask me where Evergreen High School is.
Where's Evergreen High School
Well,
at,
I'm glad
Brian?
you asked, Bruce. It's in Metamora, Ohio, which is in Fulton County up in northwest Ohio. Has a population of just over 600 people, and it's located about 30 minutes west of Toledo.
What Evergreen has to do in this drive is try to establish something. They have to be able to move the sticks, get a first down. Just work between the sticks. They need a good 10 yards in this little series here to get a first down and get going on the board.
In the first series, I was pronouncing the quarterback's name, Boucher. It's Booker. And they stay on the ground. Get up across the 30 to about the 36-yard line. And on the play for the Cougars was Frank Artis, the big defensive end. So a gain of about almost 5. We'll call it second down and a long 5.
And it's not a panic situation right now. You know, you gave up 7 points early. You've got to establish what you can do this ball game. You want to move the sticks and one first down at a time.
Booker out of the shotgun. That's Hudick as the running back, and Hudick's going to get the call. And he cannot. Actually, he was slowed up by Tanner Moore. And then finished off by Jorel Taylor, one of the defensive captains. A gain of a couple. It'll be third down and 5.
And this Crestview defense is good. They've played very good football all year round. And you can see right there, they pursue to the football. They try to turn everything into their linebackers on the inside. Those defensive corners are going to turn everything in. Nothing gets outside of them. Their linebackers are going to make the big plays.
So big third down play for the Crestview defense. Booker, a little misdirection. They go back to the ground and nothing doing as Crestview's defense stayed home. It's now 4th and 5. And the Vikings go quietly here on their second possession with about 3:43 to go in the opening quarter.
And about all you can talk about is that Crestview defense so far. Those front 8 players up front are shutting down the run.
Evan Hamilton back to receive the kick. Averages about 16 yards a return on the season. Joined back there by Connor Morse.
And the Crestview defense is going to give their offense very good field position by playing 1-2-3 football.
Evan Hamilton, number 23.
Landon Vance with the kick. It's fielded by Connor Moore. Moore with a hole. It's up across midfield down to the 45-yard line, and the Cougars are going to start in Vikings territory. The tackle made by Colin Smith, but a nice return by Connor Moore.
There's 3 phases of football. There's the offensive phase, there's a defensive phase, and something that people don't talk about, that's your specialty phase. And Crestview is very good at their specialty teams. And there they had like a 30-yard return.
Well, and what that does is it gives them 1st and 10 at the Viking 45-yard line.
And the way Crestview runs the ball, they're in 4-down territory. They're just going to move it down the field.
Kuhn now out of the shotgun. That's Shiflett standing to his left. Fakes it to Shiflett. Kuhn looks to throw, and it's incomplete. He short hops it. Intended for Gabe Smedley. Kuhn has had an outstanding season. The big 6'5", 190-pound offensive captain has thrown for over 1,100 yards, 15 touchdowns, and I bet they have a lot of good conversations around the dinner table with his father, who's the athletic director here, and had some records broken earlier this season. And he's got a sophomore brother coming up the pipeline.
All in the family.
Kuhn rolling to his right. Plenty of time. Look at the pocket. Pass is complete by Smedley. And look at the time, if we get a replay, that he had rolling to his right and the pocket that forms around him. Quarterbacks love to have this kind of protection.
And when you're 6'5", you look over everybody. You don't have to look through everything. And when you can look over everything and have a clear view of the field, that helps so much.
Smedley with his first catch of the game. Pickup of 8, 3rd down and 2. That Shiflett has the first down inside the 30, down to the 27-yard line, wrapped up by Logan York, but a nice, strong carry by Chase Shiflett. And this team they can do everything. They can throw the ball, they can run the ball, and it all really starts with the protection and the holes that are created up front.
You know, in the first drive, they ran the football down. Now they're starting to throw the ball a little bit. And they're not going for it deep. They're just loosening up their quarterback, getting everybody relaxed. This offense could explode tonight.
Now they go back to the I formation. They give it to the fullback, and he gets a couple down to about the 26-yard line. Crestview shared the Firelands Championship this season with Monroeville and St. Paul. Cougars have won 6 Firelands titles back in 98, 2001, 2004, 2006, 2011, and this year.
So it's a tradition. They have a tradition going.
In the 2000s, they have really become one of the premier teams in the Firelands Conference. They fake it to Shiflett. Kuhn still has it. Bounces to the outside. He's got some running room, and he's going to get into the end zone. 26 yards, and the second touchdown run of the night for Crestview. And they're threatening to go up 14-0.
You know, what a advantage to have a quarterback that can run like that, Brian. That was unbelievable. He faked it. They faked it to the left. He comes back to the right side, broke a couple tackles, touchdown.
Devin Holloway on to attempt his second extra point. It was a bad snap, but the holder was able to get it down. The kick is up, and it is good. So the Cougars go on top 14-0.
And one thing that I really like on here, you have an athlete who is 6'5", and not only can he throw the ball and direct the team, but that young man can run the ball also. And that puts so much pressure on a defense. And what do you have to cover? You got to cover the run game. You got to cover the tailback. You got to cover the sweeps on the outside. Now you got to look at the quarterback throwing the ball, and it's a nightmare for coaches, defensive coordinators against this team.
Well, and especially when you're a team like Evergreen who's really trying to get yourself established as a program, and you already play in a tough conference, then you get this first-round playoff matchup against a team like Crestview, and it can create some headaches.
And right now, Crestview's clicking on all cylinders. They can do no wrong. Their specialty teams are working. Their offense is moving the football. And their defense, they're forcing 1-2-3 punt.
8 million around the world.
And when you can put all three of those aspects of the game together, you're going to be a very, very good football team.
They do. They do. People have messaged me.
Evergreen needs to be careful in a game like this because this can get away from you early.
And Crestview's playing at home. They're in front of their crowd. They're 5-1. They got everything going for them. They're looking at a long, deep run into the playoffs. Motivation.
And how about this? October 10th, it's 70 degrees outside. It's a beautiful night for football here in North Central Ohio.
And number 33, Grant Richardson.
Devin Holloway on to kickoff for the Cougars. Grant Richardson up the middle to about the 33-yard line. So the Vikings will take over, trailing 14-0. Tonight's high school football broadcast is brought to you live and free on the OH Report, thanks to our generous sponsors. Kissel's Lawn Care, Spraying and Painting, proud supporter of Crestview Athletics. Call Dave at Kissel's today at 419-571-1152 or find them on Facebook to get a free quote for your next project.
Evergreen from the 34-yard line.
Evergreen has got to establish something. They've had the ball for 2 series and have a total of 10 offensive yards.
Hooker's going to pitch it, and they're going to look to throw a little razzle-dazzle here, and it's incomplete. He was trying to hit Jacob Riggs over the middle. Pass thrown by Tanner Pollard.
And, you know, Evergreen comes out. They know they're the underdogs right now. What do? They try and mix things up. So they try the onside kick early. They recover it. They can't get their offense going. Now they're having trouble running the ball, so what do? Do a little razzle-dazzle, throw the halfback pass.
2nd down and 10 as we're under a minute to go in the first quarter. stay on the ground and run into the teeth of that Cougar defense. Really nowhere to go. 2, maybe 3 yards on the carry by Brock Hudick.
And again, Evergreen, they gotta work on something. They gotta be able to move the chains. You got to give your defense a little bit of a spell, let them catch their breath on the sidelines over there. They got to stay on the field, try to establish something, and move the chains.
Booker out of the shotgun on 3rd down and 6. He's going to swing it out. It's incomplete. He had Tanner Pollard in the right flat, but Pollard kind of lost his balance there as he was trying to cut to the outside.
Tried to make that out cut. They tried to throw the little bit of a 5-yard out just to get a little momentum going, and he's tripped, and the ball was overthrown.
So the Vikings go quietly on another drive. And Evan Hamilton back to receive again, along with Connor Morse. Morse is the one that set them up to the 40-yard line on the last punt return, and they tried kicking away from Hamilton. Now they'll go back to Hamilton. That's Hamilton from the 31. And he gets up to about the 44-yard line. The rest of our sponsors bring you tonight's playoff game. Black Belt Pro Fitness, your professional martial arts and fitness resource in North Central Ohio. Try 2 free classes plus a free uniform today with an award-winning instructor. Check out blackbeltprofitness.com for more details. And tonight's replays and player of the game are sponsored by Scout Construction. They're hiring carpenters now. Email resumes to josh.scoutconstruction@gmail.com to apply.
4-yard line.
This is probably Crestview's longest drive of the night, Brian. They're starting in their own territory.
This will probably be the final play of the first quarter. Kuhn rolling to his right. Another completion to Smedley on the near side, and that's going to do it for the first quarter. Crestview with a 14-0 lead as we head to the second. You're watching high school playoff football live and free exclusively on the OH Report.
At the Evergreen 44. And that's the end of
I'm Judge Steve McKinley, and I ask you to vote for me to continue as the Richland County Juvenile Court Judge. I'll continue to give great care to helping rehabilitate troubled children, and I'll treat every person that comes before the court with dignity and respect.
Paid for by the Committee for Judge McKinley, Carl Milliron, Treasurer.
Crestview with a 14-0 lead as we head to the second quarter. They have it 1st and 10 at the Evergreen 44-yard line. That's Shiflett trying to turn the corner. And he's going to be drugged down by Sam Warline. The defense for Crestview has really done a number on the Evergreen offense. 12 yards on 3 drives in the first quarter. And the offense, as we have seen, has been pretty efficient. Kuhn with all kinds of time. Pitches to the near side. That's Owen Barker with his first reception of the game. Stood up at the 35-yard line. And Kuhn will just stand back there and spread the ball around.
And that's one thing you got to look at. His primary receivers were covered. So what's he do? He looks to the other side, finds his secondary receiver.
Quick give to Shiflett. And he's going to be close to a first down at the 33-yard line, brought down by Landon Vance. And that will be enough for a Crestview first down.
23, Carter Bergman.
And the Cougars just continue this drive, looking to go up by 3 scores. Hugh, plenty of time, over the middle, has a receiver. It's caught and down inside the 5-yard line. It'll be first and goal. The reception made by Gabe Smedley.
Catch for the Cougars from Ross.
There's a nice play and timing there by the quarterback and the receiver, and it sets up a first and goal for the Cougars.
And this Crestview team, they're clicking on all cylinders tonight, Brian.
Goal from the 5-yard line for the Cougars.
Backs now in the I formation. Shiflett, and he marches into the end zone. And Crestview with their 3rd rushing touchdown of the day. This one a 5-yarder by Gabe Shiflett. They're making it look easy.
And I was really impressed with the quarterback on that. You know, they came out this series and wanted to throw the ball a little bit more. He's not only picking up his secondary receivers and stuff when the first one's covered. The extra point is good.
Makes it 21-0 with 11 minutes to go in the second quarter.
But the one thing that's really nice, Brian, is that offensive line is giving that quarterback all the time he needs. He can stand back there. There's nobody around him. He has time to evaluate the field, see where the receivers are open. He waited till the post route came open and threw it over top of the defender. Outstanding play.
Boy, with the defense that's playing lights out and the offense that has been incredibly efficient, you're over there scratching your head if you're on the Evergreen sideline because you don't know what to do.
Yeah, the one thing they have got to do, though, they have got to put together a few first downs. They got to keep their offense on the field, and the best defense they can do is control the ball and not let Crestview on the field. They've had 3 series. Crestview's scored 3 touchdowns. Evergreen's had 3 series. Haven't got a first down yet.
Deep man for
the sophomore kicker, Devin Holloway, has been busy tonight. He'll kick off again.
Number 11, number 33.
Back to receive for Evergreen is Jacob Briggs, along with Grant Richardson.
And number 14, Connor Houston.
And that's Richardson from the 11. And he is stood up and falls forward to the 28-yard line. Richardson, a big freshman.
And that's another specialty team big hit. You have your kickoff team making things happen, containing the ball.
Doesn't have blazing speed, but he got a little bit of power there at the end as he pushes forward.
The big thing we need now from Evergreen is a couple first downs. They got to get a little confidence built up in that offense for them. But the way that defense is playing from Crestview, it's going to be tough for them.
Booker out of the shotgun. Booker picks it up and able to get back to the line of scrimmage. Connor Morse in on the play.
Peyton Booker, number 3, the ball carrier.
You take a look at that defensive front for Crestview. Those 4 down linemen, they are dominating up front. There is nowhere to go for those running backs from Evergreen.
The tacklers, along with number 77, Mason.
Winner of this game will take on either Cary or Montpelier next week. That'll be, if Cary would win, they're the higher seed, so they would be the home team. And should Crestview win tonight, we would cover that matchup in Cary, assuming Cary wins. Booker swings it left side. It's caught, and Tanner Pollard gets about 7 yards up to the 32-yard line.
Is complete.
And we got to remember, Brian, Evergreen had a 2-hour trip to get here. And one of the things that really messes things up when you play on Saturday.
And 23.
After this play, I'll explain that.
Booker's going to roll to his right. A nice finger. Oh, no, it was on the ground. I was going to say that would have been a nice fingertip catch made by Jacob Briggs, but it's going to be 4th down and 5.
when you play on a Saturday, it kind of messes up the timing of your team. There's no school. The kids, sometimes they sleep in, but if you're a coach, you usually have moms or somebody have a breakfast for the team. You bring them in for an early morning workout. So tradition, you get into a routine. It's totally changed.
In all the years that I coached, a 2-hour bus drive does not sound fun either.
It is not, especially when you're on a football team and your big boys are on the team and you're sitting in a school bus and they're not the most comfortable seats.
And advance back to kick. And Hamilton is going to watch it roll out of bounds at about the 44-yard line. So that's where Crestview will set up. And with 9:25 to go in the first half, Evergreen still looking for their first down of the night. That Crestview defense has just been outstanding. And we've talked about the fact that Evergreen is 0-6. They play in a very tough Northwest Ohio Athletic Conference. It's got Archbald, Wauseon, Bryan, Liberty Center, Delta, Patrick Henry, Evergreen, and Swanton. Archbald and Wauseon, they're 6-0 and 5-1. A high snap. Kuhn able to hold on to it, throws it away, and he really avoided trouble there.
Boy, that could have
been picked off.
That could have went either way. And that's really the first mistake I've seen from this Crestview team today. And a high snap, and when your quarterback is 6'5", and he puts his hands up, and that snap is still a little bit high, that's really a bad snap. Being a center, I understand, though. I understand how that happens every once in a while.
Well, does he make that throwing attempt if they're not up 21-0?
True.
2nd down and 10 from the 45. Kuhn, all kinds of time again. Lost it up, left side, it's incomplete. Nice defensive play by Jacob Briggs, back on coverage of Evan Hamilton.
And what an arm on that quarterback. When you're a right-handed quarterback and you have to roll to the left and still throw the ball 40 yards downfield on the money, that's a heck of an arm for you.
Brings up a 3rd down and 10. That'll stop the clock with 9:12 to go.
I don't think Crestview's had a lot of 3rd down situations.
This may be their first 3rd and long. Kuhn out of the gun. Again, time, and it's incomplete. He throws it behind his intended target. That was Hamilton. So one of the few mistakes that Kuhn has made tonight, and the Cougars go quietly.
Yeah, and 3 incomplete passes in a row. That forces them to a 4th and 10. And it all started with a high snap, and the quarterback did pull it down. They couldn't make anything happen with it, though.
Deep return man.
Ross Kuhn also handles the punting chores, so he'll kick it from inside the 35-yard line. And the ball is on the ground. It's going to be recovered by Crestview. It went off of Jacob Briggs, and it was recovered by Connor Morse. So just when Evergreen thought they had an opportunity to get the ball back, you're going to see here, and you talked about it, special teams, that time forcing a turnover, and Connor Morse did a nice job of running down to the football.
And specialty teams, you can't underestimate how important these specialty teams are. And just when Evergreen forces Crestview off the field, now their offense is back on.
Kuhn now up to the line of scrimmage. 1st and 10 from the Evergreen 19. Kuhn over the middle. And an incomplete pass in the end zone. Jacob Briggs, who has been very busy tonight on coverage. The intended target was Frank Artist, big tight end.
Whenever you have a change of possession and one team is hurting a little bit, a fumble like that, a lot of offenses will come back because your defense is down. You're not really ready for the big play, and that's what Crestview did. They tried to hit the big play, hitting the post route.
Second down and 10. Now they go back to the ground. Shiflett with a block around the end, gets knocked out of bounds inside the 5-yard line. He was popped by Brock Hudick.
15-yard run.
Sets up a first and goal.
Looks like he was
There you see
knocked out of
Shiflett
bounds.
trying to dive to the end zone. Dudek said, well, we're going to get you out of bounds inside the 5. It's going to be first and goal.
Between the 5 and 6 yard line.
Well, they'll say he went out at the 6, so it'll be first and goal from the 6. Shiflett already with 1 touchdown tonight. Make that 2. As he scoots into the end zone from 6 yards out. So the first quarter belonged to Ross Kuhn. He had 2 touchdown runs. The second quarter, Chase Shiflett with his second touchdown of the night.
He has 48 yards rushing on 11 carries so far this game.
Picking up where he left off last week in their win over Plymouth, 142 yards and a touchdown as they won their 6th in a row. The extra point is up and good, and it's 28-0 in favor of Crestview, and the Vikings continue to look for answers here in Week 7.
And Crestview is putting everything together tonight. They're a well-oiled machine right now. Their specialty teams are making things happen for them. Their offense is moving the ball and scoring, and their defense has not given up a first down yet, Brian.
Make sure to catch a special edition of the Saturday Pigskin Show live on Monday at 7 o'clock, exclusively on the OH Report, Facebook, and YouTube channels, where Brian Skoronsky, Eric Will, Kirk Conrad, Travis Berardi, and the OH Report crew recap all the action from playoff football throughout North Central Ohio with top plays, outstanding performances, highlights, and more. That's on the Saturday Pigskin Show. Brian Harder, Bruce Wyrick from Crestview High School. It has been all Cougars. 28-0, 8:46 to go in the second quarter.
And Crestview's doing everything. They're playing great defense. They have not allowed a first down in this ball game yet. Their offense has put 4 scores on it, and their specialty teams, they recovered a fumble, and they've had great field position, given the offense for the Crestview, great field position.
Devin Holloway on to kick off again. Crestview 5-1 on the season. One of 3 teams to be at 5-1 atop the Firelands Conference. Robinson from the 13-yard line, or Richardson, excuse me, gets up to about the 24-yard line, so Evergreen will take over first and 10.
And as we've been talking, Evergreen has got to move the sticks. They have got to keep the Crestview offense off the field. And they have to string together a couple first downs. They got to give their defense a little bit of time to relax and regroup on the sidelines over there, or this game's going to get out of hand.
Well, this is not a scoring machine. The Vikings finished, as we said, in 2020 with an 0-6 record. They only scored 35 points on the season and gave up a league worst 261. That's 43.5 points a game. They'll stay on the ground. Hudick up across the 25 to the 26. And they're on pace to give up those 43 points tonight. They've already given up 28 with about 8.5 minutes to go in the second quarter.
And they're struggling. They're being outmanned up front. Crestview, when you're ahead 28-0, you can basically do anything you want. And these linemen and linebackers are just reading their keys and flowing to the football.
Booker out of the shotgun on 2nd and 8. And a flag flies. And if I'm not mistaken, that's our first penalty flag of the ball game.
Yep, that's the first penalty, and it's on Evergreen for illegal procedure.
So that'll back the Vikings up.
One of the things that Crestview's defense is doing, Brian, is that they're playing man-to-man. And when you play man-to-man, that kind of frees up an extra back or linebacker, and that's helping shut down the run up front.
There you see the faithful from Evergreen who made the trip. A 2-hour drive from just west of Toledo. And another flag comes in and another procedure call against Evergreen.
Illegal motion, the call going against Evergreen.
When things start going bad for you, Brian, it seems like they collapse and everything goes bad.
Well, the Vikings are moving the ball. They're just moving it in the wrong direction.
Wrong direction. And when your offense is struggling, it's hard to overcome simple little mistakes.
So that'll bring up 2nd down and 17. Pollard in motion. And Booker tried to set up a screen. And Hudick just gets back up to the 19-yard line, so he gets a few yards back. In on the play defensively for the Cougars, Hayden Morse, one of the defensive captains.
Tackled out there by number 71.
And one thing I like about that, when you run a screen play like that, one of the big things you do is tell your lineman, recognize it, turn back on the ball, and that's what Crestview did. Very well coached defense.
One of their co-defensive coordinators, Steve Hill, who has forgotten more football than I will ever know.
Great individual. Went fishing with him in Canada, had a great time.
He was on the Madison coaching staff under Dana Woodring for all those years. They were making those playoff runs in the 90s.
Interception.
And an interception, and Crestview gets the ball back at about the 30-yard line.
Evergreen pass is picked off by the Cougars.
So the turnover is going to give Crestview the football deep in Evergreen territory.
And that's
Addison
the last
Reimer
thing.
comes up with the pick.
That's the last thing Evergreen needed. A short field for Crestview, and your defense has just been on the field way too long.
6:36 to go in the first half. It's been all Crestview, 28-0. Kuhn kind of bobbles the snap, lost it up right side, wide open, and he overthrows Smedley down the right sideline.
And that's the 5th incomplete pass in a row for Crestview. Very unusual, uncharacteristic for them.
Well, look at the separation that Smedley got on Colin Smith and just unable to, as they say, drop it in the bucket.
And the one thing that I like about that, the gentlemen up front are giving that quarterback all the time he needs to overlook the field and throw the ball to the open receiver.
Smedley now lines up on the left side. Kuhn swings it out. That's Shiflett. Shiflett cuts back inside the 20 down to the about 15-yard line. Making the play for the Vikings is Logan York. And it's just another first down for Crestview.
Tacklers on the play for the Evergreen Vikings.
Little swing pass gets a big first down for Crestview. And Crestview right now, they're just moving the ball, working on all cylinders.
Hamilton and Smedley go wide to the right. Kuhn fakes the handoff. And he is down to about the 12-yard line. Hayden York up defensively for the Vikings.
And one thing I like about this, he just picks his time. He waits till his offensive line creates a little bit of a seam, and he just slides in behind him.
Well, that's not good. As he's walking off with that right arm just hanging there. That's Ross Kuhn. And I don't know what he did there, but he's coming out of the ball game.
Maybe he got his crazy bone hit. It looked like he's just moving his hand a little bit. Hit the crazy bone.
So Hayden Kuhn, the sophomore, takes over under center. Backs in the eye, and he can just go back and hand it to number 6. And he's going to be stood up and knocked for a loss on the play. We'll have to see if Ross Kuhn comes back into the ball game. He does, so that's good news for Crestview as he trots back out onto the field.
You get your elbows dinged, and that's his throwing arm. We saw him coming over, shaking his hand a little bit of numbness, and he goes right back in.
Did you hear the collective sigh of relief on this side of the field?
Ball's at the 10-yard line.
3rd down and 4 from the Evergreen 10. They'll stay on the ground. Shiflett with a nice cutback, dives forward, and he's going to be stopped shy of the goal line. It'll be 1st and goal.
Got enough for a first down.
So when you start to sputter a little bit in the passing game, you just give it to Chase Shiflett. There you see the play that he may have, I don't know if he hurt himself or not, but there's the incompletion to Smedley.
Crestview has so many weapons, though. You know, when your quarterback's hurt a little bit, give it to the running back.
First and goal from the 2. Shiflett lines up as the fullback. They'll stay on the ground and nothing doing. That's Connor Morse who gets the carry.
Number 3, the ball carrier.
In fact, he may have lost a yard.
Cougars.
And that'll bring up second and goal.
Defensive stand there by number 55 of the.
That was Mason Emmett, freshman in on the play. A lot of freshmen on this Evergreen roster.
It's a building year.
Under the direction of Aaron Schmidt, is in his 4th season. Backs in the eye, Kuhn up under center. They pitch it to Morse. And Morse cuts back and virtually untouched into the end zone. So from 3 yards out, Crestview into the end zone again, their 5th rushing touchdown of the half. So they get Connor Morse involved. 5'9", 165-pound junior. There's Smedley.
With the way Crestview is blocking,
extra point, up and good.
Anybody can score. I mean,
I think even I could go out there and run around right in.
They are really doing an outstanding job up front.
Been all Crestview, 35-0, 3:26 to go. We are going to try tonight to get a score on that Cary Montpelier game, because that's who the winner of this game will take on next Saturday. That'll be on October 17th. The higher seed will host the game, which would be a 7 o'clock kickoff. Cary, if they would win and Crestview would win, Cary would host that game.
And right now, as I watch this Crestview team out here, they are going to be a team to reckon with in this next couple of weeks here, Brian, because they're doing everything right. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They got a quarterback that has the maturity to throw it away, not to make the mistakes. He can overlook the field. They have a defense that hasn't given up a first down yet this game. And their specialty teams have done a tremendous job in giving the ball to the Crestview offense in great field position.
This Division 6 Region 22 first-round matchup has been all Crestview. On Thursday nights this fall, get caught up on all the high school sports action going down in North Central Ohio on the Sports Mix with Brian Skoronsky, Travis Berardi, Jake Furr, and Jesse Ryder. Check it out every Thursday night on the OH Report, Facebook, and YouTube channels.
9 tees the ball for the Cougars.
Richardson drops it, picks it up from the 19, and he's not going to get anywhere beyond that. His
the ball carrier.
flag is down.
Got a flag on the play. Looked like a holding penalty from up here, and that's something Evergreen does not need.
Addison Raymer.
Raymer went down and made the play. Let's see what the penalty is. It will be against the Vikings.
Penalty
I believe that is their 3rd penalty of the half. All of them in the second quarter.
Half the distance to the goal line.
So this marches the ball all the way back just inside the 10-yard line.
Talk about having your back against the wall, Brian. The way this defense is playing, it's going to be tough for Evergreen to dig their way out.
Booker again out of the gun, trips to the right. There's movement on the line, and I think the Vikings may get some help here. A rare mistake by the Cougars here in the first half, and they're going to give a few of those yards back. So they make it 1st and 5.
That just drives coaches crazy when you have the man over the center who's supposed to watch the ball jumping off sides. As a defensive coordinator, you just look at that and just shake your head. And how can that happen?
Booker pitches to the near side. And tossed out of bounds is Brock Hudick. And he is going to be about a yard and a half shy. It'll be second and short, actually second and 2 after a gain of 3.
And this is what Evergreen's got to do. They got to move the sticks. They're 2 yards away from getting their first down of the game, but it gives that defense time to recover on the sidelines, talk to the defensive coordinator, make the adjustments they need to slow down this Crestview offense.
Now they'll split 2 receivers to each side. Booker looks to throw over the middle, has a receiver. It's caught in a first down as the reception was made by Jacob Riggs. That's a nice little crossing pattern by Riggs, and it sets up a first down with 3:09 to go in the second quarter. That might have been the best pass of the night thrown by Peyton Booker.
First down for Evergreen.
Their first down of the first half.
And it's getting them out of the hole. Even if they have to punt, they're still going to be out of the hole.
That's Pollard in motion. Booker swings it out. He was looking for Pollard, threw it behind him. Over on coverage was Addison Raymer.
Fell incomplete.
So that'll stop the clock with 3:07 to go in the half.
And the one thing that Evergreen cannot do is turn the ball over to Crestview right now. You don't want Crestview getting the ball with any time on the clock and being able to score again. Evergreen's having a little bit of a difficult time stopping Crestview's offense. So
now, remember, Evergreen won the opening coin toss and they deferred, so they're going to get the ball to start the third quarter. Pollard takes a shoestring catch up to the 45-yard line. He's knocked out of bounds by Jorel Taylor. And he's going to be close to a first down, but about a yard shy to be 3rd and 1.
And this is what we've been talking about the whole game. Evergreen has got to establish something. They got to move the sticks. They had a first down. They're moving the ball. They're keeping Crestview's offense off the field.
Important 3rd down play for the Vikings. They bunch 3 receivers to the near side. They give it to Hudick. He pushes forward, and I think he's got enough for the first down.
It's going to be close. It's going to be a close call here.
They're already starting to move the chains. Yep, it's going to be a first down for the Vikings. Their second of this drive and the second of the half. And there's an injured Viking down on the field at the 46-yard line.
And the thing that's happening right now, Crestview's offense cannot score if they do not have the ball. And right now, Evergreen's offense is controlling the tempo of the ball game, and they're moving the ball. They're moving the sticks. They've had 2 first downs in a row. They're trying to get a little momentum. Even if they have to punt the ball, they're still going to put Crestview in a hole.
I can't quite see who the injured player is for Evergreen. And as they tend to him, we're going to take a timeout. It's all Crestview, 35-0. You're watching high school playoff football live and free exclusively on the OH Report.
Kissel's Lawn Care. There's no job too big or too small for us to handle. With top-of-the-line equipment, we are guaranteed to complete your next landscaping job efficiently and professionally. A hard-working, dedicated team is what we take pride in, bringing to every job to make sure the results are the best they can be. So the next time you have a landscaping project that needs done, think smart and think Kissel.
I'm Judge Steve McKinley, and I ask you to vote for me to continue as the Richland County Juvenile Court Judge. I'll continue to give great care to helping rehabilitate troubled children, and I'll treat every person that comes before the court with dignity and respect.
Paid for by the Committee for Judge McKinley, Carl Milliron, Treasurer.
Sam Warline is up and off the field for Evergreen. And Booker is down at the 41-yard line.
Peyton Booker.
So a solid defensive effort turned in by Hayden Morse, one of the defensive captains. And it's now 2nd down and 15 with 2:11 to go before halftime.
They tried to throw a short route into the boundary, which is the short side of the field. They had 3 receivers stacked there. But Crestview's going man-to-man. No matter where that person goes, they're on him, and they're doing a very good job covering all receivers.
Booker out of the gun. Booker with some time, steps up, fires, and he just overthrows Jacob Riggs over the middle. And that's one, if he would have just didn't put so much zip on that, that would have been that'd have been a nice completion.
And I tell you, he could have kept running because he had a step on that defensive back from Crestview, and if the ball was on the target, he would have gained some big yardage on that play.
3rd down and 15. It's been all Crestview here in the first half. 5 rushing touchdowns. 2 by Ross Kuhn in the first quarter, 2 by Chase Shiflett, and the other by Connor Morse. And right now, the Evergreen Vikings just trying to figure out this Crestview defense. This is by far their best drive of the ball game. Hudick to the 43, and he goes down quietly.
21, Brock Hudick, the ball carrier.
Tried a little counter play coming back on it, see if they could catch the Crestview defense sleeping, but they were ready for it.
Play number 55.
Chandler Harmon made the play for the Cougars, forcing a 4th and 4. So the Cougars will get the ball back with about, it's a stoppage in play, a timeout called by Crestview, as they want to try to get in the end zone one more time, because they understand, too, that Evergreen gets the ball to start the 3rd quarter, and they want to add to this 35-0 lead.
When you got a lead like this and there's less than 2 minutes, it's a tough situation for coaches, but it's still the first half. First team versus first team. Right now, I can see Crestview coming out and working on their 2 minutes offense. Now, they might not need it right now, but later on down the line, they may need a 2-minute offense somewhere, and they need to score with less than 2 minutes on the clock, and maybe they'll try working on that.
Steve Haverdale has really done a nice job with this team in his 2nd season as the Cougars head coach. He took them to the playoffs a year ago. Close one. They lost 21-20 to East Knox. He's also been the Cougars wrestling coach since 2014.
And what a program that is.
It's 4th down and a punting situation for the Vikings. Landon Vance. It's going to take a Crestview roll back across the 40 and roll dead just shy of the 41. So the Cougars are going to get the ball back about 59 yards away from the end zone with 1:23 to go.
In the Crestview, they try to set up a return there. There's different types of punts that you can go with a punt rush and try and block it. Sometimes you go with a punt return. They're trying to set up a punt return to the opposing sidelines, or we used to call it return right. They're going to go for it here.
Steve Haverdale trying to figure out what things to talk about at the intermission, because it's been a pretty, other than a few incompletions here in the 2nd quarter, it's been a pretty flawless first half for the Cougars. Kuhn back to throw. Looks, fires, right side, has the receiver, and it's going to be incomplete. He did throw it into double coverage as he was trying to find Evan Hamilton down the far sideline. It will stop the clock with 1:15 to go.
And what a job by the quarterback. I truly believe that was supposed to go to the 2 receiver side. The quarterback stood up, looked at it. He might even try to call the pattern because he saw there was a mismatch out there. But Evergreen did a nice job covering it, so he looks up his 2nd receiver and throws the ball deep at him.
Now there's a penalty on the play, and it's going to be called against Crestview. So this will march them back to about the 36-yard line, make it 1st and 15, so they'll replay 1st down. Kuhn will roll to his left, sets, fires. There's Hamilton up across midfield, knocked out of bounds about the 44-yard line by Jacob Riggs. Never mind the first and 15. The Cougars got a first down.
Play good for a first down.
It just makes it look so effortless. Evan Hamilton, their leading receiver, 659 yards and 12 touchdowns on the season.
Right-handed quarterback rolling to his left. Difficult throw for a lot of quarterbacks. No problem for Crestview.
You know, the unfortunate thing about this shortened season is you don't see the big statistics that you would normally see in a 10-game schedule.
You don't have to worry about Crestview scoring, though.
No. Kuhn sets, fires. It's caught. No, it's incomplete. It was in and out of the hands of Gabe Smedley.
Stops the clock
with 1:04 to go. That one was not the fault of the quarterback.
Nice ball thrown out there. A receiver couldn't bring it in. One of the things that's impressive, though, here it is 2nd and 10. In Crestview, there's no panic. They're not worried about it. Could be 3rd and 10. Could be 4th and 10. Business as usual.
Kuhn looks right side, and again he overthrows Evan Hamilton.
Looked like a misread in the route. The receiver broke open. Instead of heading up to the sidelines a little more, he overthrew him to the inside behind him.
So 3rd down and 10. Kuhn starting to show a little, I don't want to say rust, but there just seems to be some either miscommunication or some timing that's off between him and Evan Hamilton.
They're 1 in their last 9 passes. They've only completed 1 out of his last 9.
They'll go trips to the right. Kuhn, he's going to step up, and he is dumped at the 50-yard line. I think he tripped. And he is then wrapped up by Landon Vance, so that drive stalls with 47 seconds to go before halftime.
You want to talk about an ugly series, that has to be it. I mean, they had the receivers open, couldn't get the completions down, and then the stumble and lose 5 yards.
Yeah, you saw in that replay there, he tripped over somebody's foot, and it's Vance is there to plant him at the 50-yard line. It's 4th down.
Deep return man.
And Kuhn will back up into punt formation inside the 40.
Jacob.
One of the toughest things coaches have to do is when you have a big lead, how do you keep your football team hungry out there? How do you keep moving the ball forward? Crestview has a very big lead right now, and it's a tough situation. It really is.
They're letting the clock wind down. It's 7 seconds to go now before halftime. We will have the Crestview band at halftime. We'll also share a very cool video with you as we get ready to start the 3rd quarter, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Kuhn with a short kick, and that may have been partially blocked. And it's going to take a Crestview roll inside the 30 down to about the 26-yard line, and that will do it. The first half, all Crestview, 35-0 as we head to the locker room. You're watching high school playoff football live and free exclusively on the OH Report.
End of the first half.
Kissel's Lawn Care. There's no job too big or too small for us to handle. With top-of-the-line equipment, we are guaranteed to complete your next landscaping job efficiently and professionally. A hard-working, dedicated team is what we take pride in, bringing to every job to make sure the results are the best they can be. So the next time you have a landscaping project that needs done, think smart and think Kissel.
I'm Judge Steve McKinley, and I ask you to vote for me to continue as the Richland County Juvenile Court Judge. I'll continue to give great care to helping rehabilitate troubled children, and I'll treat every person that comes before the court with dignity and respect.
Paid for by the Committee for Judge McKinley. Carl Milliron, Treasurer.
Hi, I'm Josh with Scout Construction, proud sponsor of local teams and athletes. Check out your favorite local sports right here on the OH Report.
The Marching Cougar Pride opens tonight's show with a hit from the band Daft Punk. Daft Punk is a French electronic duo who formed in 1993. This medley features some of their famous songs like Technologic, One More Time, Get Lucky, Digital Love, and Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. The a cappella group Pentatonics also use these songs to make their own awesome medley, featuring trumpet soloist Maria Welch. Enjoy as we play Daft Punk Medley.
Hayden gets the ball. I
The MCP's second number comes from the band Green Day. This song comes from their album titled American Idiot. It reached number 19 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 1 on the Hot Modern Rock track charts. Get on your feet and rock out with our majorettes as they twirl some fire with Green Day's Holiday. We close our show tonight by bringing you the sounds of Fall Out Boy. This song debuted in 2007 and was featured on their third album titled Infinity on High. This song peaked at 13 on the Top 40 chart and 11 on the Hot 100 chart. Here is the Marching Cougar Pride playing Thanks for the Memories.
Kissel's Lawn Care. There's no job too big or too small for us to handle. With top-of-the-line equipment, we are guaranteed to complete your next landscaping job efficiently and professionally. A hard-working, dedicated team is what we take pride in, bringing to every job to make sure the results are the best they can be. So the next time you have a landscaping project that needs done, think smart and think Kissel.
I'm Judge Steve McKinley, and I ask you to vote for me to continue as the Richland County Juvenile Court Judge. I'll continue to give great care to helping rehabilitate troubled children, and I'll treat every person that comes before the court with dignity and respect.
Paid for by the Committee for Judge McKinley, Carl Milliron, Treasurer.
Not a lot of fun to go out and play on a 2-8 team or a 3-7 team and walk off the field feeling like you didn't accomplish anything. To be able to say you're part of a playoff team, I think that would be very special.
It's more than football. It's, kind of just goes all the way to school, just the pride you carry, the way you carry yourself, when you're at the county fair, when you're out eating, anything like that, when you're out, you're just out in the public. You just kind of always, not a chip on your shoulder, but you just have this moxie about you that you're ready.
To be a Cougar means to be part of a brotherhood, a family, and tradition. The Crestview community has had a long line of football teams, good and bad. Here recently, more better than worse. But be able to put on that jersey, walk down the hall, step on that field, and be part of the brotherhood, that's what it is to be a Cougar.
It's halftime here at Scott Bailey Memorial Field. It has been all Crestview here at the half, 35-0 over the Evergreen Vikings. And we have seen some games this year that have put up some really good numbers and stats and all of that kind of thing. But the stats really here don't really show the complete domination that Crestview has really put on Evergreen tonight in the first half.
And Crestview's doing it from every aspect. I mean, they are doing it with their defense, shutting down the offense from Evergreen. Crestview's offense is running the ball, which I thought they'd be throwing a little bit more, but they're just running the ball at will, basically. And the other thing is the third aspect of the game, the specialty teams. The specialty teams are making things happen for them. Also, giving their Crestview's offense a good field position, short fields, just moving the ball.
As we take a look at the halftime numbers, it is going to be as lopsided as the score would indicate, as Crestview with a 35-0 lead. And as we take a look at trying to get the numbers up here, there they are. The rushing numbers, 110 yards for Crestview, 68 passing, 178 total yards. And as I said, it's not that complete statistical domination, but they're getting the ball in a short field. They're taking advantage. There have been 3 turnovers in this ball game, Evergreen with a couple and Crestview with 1, and a few penalties. That second half or the second quarter kind of got a little bit sloppy for Crestview. But when you're up 35-0, you can afford to make a few mistakes.
Yeah, and you lose your focus a little bit. You come out the first quarter and you just rock. I mean, you just put 14 points up on the board right now. As a team, you start to get a little overconfident, and later on you're going to have a little bit of a lag, and that happened at the end of the half there for Crestview. But they are quite a team.
Ross Kuhn has not looked as sharp, especially in the second quarter. He was 5 of 14 on the half for 68 yards. He did have 6 carries for 39 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chase Shiflett, 13 carries, 52 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. So he's been able to get involved. Now the question heading into the second half how long do you stay with your starters? Because this is a playoff game, and if you lose somebody in a game like this, it's going to be trouble for you as you try to advance in the playoffs.
Well, according to Ohio high school rules, when you're up by 30, they have a running clock. So the clock will be running here. It's going to go a little bit quicker. As a coach, you want to take you don't want to wholesale everything. You don't want to turn everything down. You want to keep the timing up, keep that competitiveness out there. The third quarter is your varsity football yet. And after you get through with the third quarter, you check the score, and then you start subbing people in and out. But I really feel that the third quarter is still your varsity football team. And you don't start the wholesale until the end of the third quarter and going into the fourth quarter.
There you see the Cary score, 49-0. The winner of this game tonight will, in all likelihood, take on Cary next Saturday night. And if that is Crestview, we will have that game here for you on the OH Report. We'll travel up to Cary and bring that back to you here on OH Report. And that would be a pretty good matchup. And looming down the road is number 1 seed Archbold.
Big games. And, you hate to look ahead. You really don't want to do that. And I know the Crestview staff is not doing that. They got to get by Cary next week, if this game continues the way it's been going. And they got a tough road to go. This is not a weak bracket.
No, it's not. And you look at it, the way that they assembled this bracket, it's done the way the basketball tournament's done. The coaches get together, they vote, they have seeds. So this isn't computer points. This isn't the media. This is who the coaches feel are the best teams and the top seeds in this bracket. And right now, coming out of this region, Archbold is the team to beat.
And it's playoff time. Anything can happen. Any team can upset another team. And you'll see it all season long. Usually when the first couple games come in, you have your higher seeds playing the lower seeds game, and you have a few blowouts. But as the season goes on, as this tournament goes on, the scores are going to get closer and closer and closer.
Archbold won the Northwest Ohio Athletic League. That's the same conference that Evergreen is in. And, in fact, they played each other back on September 18th. Archbold won 44-0. In fact, Evergreen was shut out 3 times in their 6 games this season, and they're looking at number 4 now.
One of the tough things to do, especially in this season here with the COVID, is getting your offensive line moving. And once you can get your offensive line going, and I talking to one of the coaches from Evergreen, they had a couple players out early who were quarantined. The whole team was shut down for 2 weeks. They just got 2 of their offensive linemen back last game, and they did a pretty good job last week moving the football. So when you don't have that continuity, if your offensive line's in trouble, your offense is usually in trouble.
So here we go as we start the second half here from Crestview. The Cougars trying to add to a 35-0 lead. The Vikings will get the ball to start the third quarter. They'll take over 1st and 10 at the 29-yard line.
And we need to put some first downs together. It's going to be tough to put enough points on the board to come back, but you want to get your offense moving. You want to start getting kids ready who are going to be here for next year. They're still going to have a game next week. Keep improving on your offense. All you want to do is move the sticks, be positive, get some positive yardage.
When you look at this roster that head coach Aaron Schmidt has put together for Evergreen, there's only 7 seniors. So this is a very young roster. There you see a couple of yards on first down as they elect to stay on the ground. That's number 21, Brock Hudick, who was their leading ball carrier in the first half. So there's a young team here.
And when you don't have the continuity of your offensive line working together, everything's out of whack. The timing's off, the blocking's off, the schemes are off. You have a few missed assignments. And when you're going up against a team like Crestview, you got to be on your toes.
Gain of 3, 2nd down and 7. Booker in some trouble, and he's going to be dumped at about the 22-yard line. There you saw big number 52 for the Crestview Cougars, Aiden Godsey, come in and make the play.
And Crestview right now, their defensive lines, I mean, it's like a dog going after a bone. I mean, they're just teeing off and blowing through the gaps. And when you're up this much, you can do that.
Well, and you talk about what motivates you when you get up this big. They want to maintain that shutout. That defense is thinking about keeping that goose egg on the board.
And I had a football team once. We had 7 shutouts, and every game it means something. And that's what's happening right now. Crestview wants to keep that goose egg up there.
3rd and long, ball's on the ground. Booker picks it up. Now he feels the heat. He's dumped again in the backfield. So 2 consecutive plays that Booker is knocked for losses. And it's going to be 4th and long and another punting situation for the Vikings.
And you see this in the NFL a lot. When it's a passing situation, you have specific linemen who can sack the quarterback. You go after it, and they just turn them loose and off they go. And that's basically what Crestview is doing right now.
Gotsi again making the play for the Cougars.
They're just turning them loose and letting them go.
So it's 4th and 23 from the 16-yard line. And Landon Vance will go back and kick again. And now you're going to give Crestview the ball in a short field. Ball's going to take an evergreen roll, rolls out of bounds at about the 42-yard line. So the Cougars will start 1st and 10 inside evergreen territory. The Cougars 5-1 on the season, co-champs in the Firelands Conference, along with Monroeville and Norwalk St. Paul.
And you're looking for Crestview to just move the football. You don't want to do anything fancy. You're not going to run reverses. You're not going to run counters right now. You want to work on your base offense. You don't want to show carry anything. And you're just going to try and establish the run and move the ball down the field.
Connor Morse is in the backfield. He is the tailback. Kind of an offset I formation. Kuhn up under center. That's Morse. And Morse with running room around the left side inside the 30-yard line, still on his feet. And he's going to go into the end zone for a touchdown. 42 yards on the run by Connor Morse, his 2nd touchdown of the night. Don't look now, Bruce, the route's on.
And the only thing that's going to stop Crestview's offense is
Crestview
is when the coach puts in his 2nd team, because these guys are clicking on all cylinders right now.
Connor Morse, a junior, and showed some elusiveness on that play. 19 carries, 100 yards, 4 touchdowns on the season coming in, so he's got 2 more touchdowns to add to that total. Extra point up and good. And Crestview now up 42-0. There you see Ontario up 41-0 over Vermilion on our scoreboard there at the bottom of your screen. So we'll try to keep an eye on some of the other scores. Galleon with a big lead over Lutheran West. Clear Fork and Edison tied at 14 at the half. Upper Sandusky losing to Firelands 50-0 in the 2nd quarter. You're going to see a lot of these lopsided scores with the seeding.
And that's what we're having here tonight. You have a higher seed playing a lower seed, and the coaches put that together. And it always happens, and your better teams are going to keep moving. And as we said, the scores will start to come together as this tournament proceeds.
All smiles on the Crestview sideline as the Cougars on top 42-0.
The big decision we have now is, when do you start to pull your starters? And as you mentioned earlier, Brian, you don't want anybody getting hurt. But yet you want to keep that edge. You want to keep your offense on the edge and keep moving forward.
Devin Holloway will kick off for the Cougars. Grant Richardson back to receive. Ball is recovered at the 25-yard line. They live a little dangerously there on special teams, but the Vikings will keep the football. There you see Buckeye Trail and Mount Gilead scoreless. There's some scores from Friday night. Marion Harding goes down to Worthington Kilbourne. River Valley all over Maumee, 16-9-6. West Holmes beats Madison, 45-10. The Madison Rams go 0-7. Udick on the ground up across the 30 to about the 32-yard line.
21 dropped Udick.
And one of the nice things about not losing, but if you do lose in the tournament, you are able to still pick up another team that is out of the tournament and you can still continue your season and still improve on it.
Yeah, that's what these ADs will be on their phones trying to, because especially when you have a young team, you want to get reps. You want to get them out there and get experience, especially when you're a young team like Evergreen. Booker upended at the 35-yard line, and he's going to be close to a first down, but I don't think he's got enough.
And with Evergreen, you want to get your offensive line getting the continuity, and I can't keep emphasizing how important that is. And when you have two of your starting line offensive linemen, just start practicing and getting ready. Last week, you'd like to get a few more games in and get those gentlemen some experience.
Up front, their starters, they've got two seniors. Both the guards are seniors. The tackles are juniors, and the center's a sophomore. There you see a first down carry. Hudick gets up across the 45 to the 46, so the drive stays alive for Evergreen as they get a first down up to the 46.
And that's what this offense has to do. They're not looking for the big play. You just want to move the sticks. You want to get 10 yards here. Get a little confidence built up in this offense.
So the Vikings first and 10 at the 46-yard line. 6:33 to go in the third quarter. Ball is on the ground. It's going to be recovered by the Cougars. That was a missed handoff between Booker and Hudick.
And that's one of the things when you're not clicking properly, handoffs come and go. That was a read. Your quarterback is trying to read a defensive lineman. If that lineman comes down, you pull the ball out and you run it. If the lineman stays outside the defensive lineman, then you hand it off. A little bit of miscommunication between the quarterback and the back, and turnover.
Mitch Klein recovers the fumble for Crestview, and the Cougars with the ball in Evergreen territory at the 44. Looking to add to a 42-0 lead.
New quarterback.
Yep, they're going to go with the sophomore. That's Hayden Kuhn. So looks like Ross Kuhn's night is done. Hayden Kuhn is the future of this team, a 5'11", 145-pound sophomore. But I'm guessing we're still going to see a lot of Chase Shiflett running the ball. Actually, it's Connor Morse in the backfield. Kuhn fakes it, and he's going to be dropped for a loss as he really had nowhere to go. Brendan Matuzak comes up to make the stop.
The one thing that I always try and look at in these situations are that offensive line. If you keep your first offensive line out there and keep them together, basically any back can run then. So are they subbing on their offensive line, or are they keeping their key starters in there?
Evan Hamilton also moves into the backfield. That's Hamilton with the carry, and he's got first down yardage inside the 35 as he powers his way close to a first down. He'll be stopped short.
Brian Godsey, the ball carrier.
Brock Hudick makes the play. The Briar Godsey, excuse me, number 22, not number 23. So he's about a yard shy of the first down, 3rd and 1. Morse with a first down. And he's finally brought down by Jack Stubleski, a freshman. But Connor Morse with some shifty running, and he gets a first down for Crestview, and the clock continues to move. 4:12 and counting in the third quarter. It's all Crestview, 42-0.
And the thing that's happening right now, that offensive line is just opening up seams or maintaining their blocks, and these backs are just picking a hole and trying to get the cutback.
First and 10 from the Viking 25. That's Wade Bolin, a freshman, getting his first carry of the night. And he'll get about 5 yards. It'll be 2nd and 5. So Bolin, 5'10", 180-pound freshman.
Crestview's giving everybody on the bench a little bit of playing time right now.
Bolin with his 6th carry of the season at 25 yards coming into tonight's game. And that's Remington Eagle.
The ball carrier for the Cougars.
Did not get a yard, so it'll be 3rd down, and we've got an injured player on the far side of the field. That will stop the clock with 2:53 to go. Here in the 3rd quarter, Crestview with a 42-0 lead. Brian Harder, Bruce Wyrick from Crestview. It has been all Cougars. 42-0. The winner of this game will take on Cary next Saturday night. Kickoff at 7 o'clock. You can catch all the action right here on the OH Report.
And Crestview, they are a team to be reckoned with in this tournament, Brian. They're doing it with their offense, they're doing it with their defense, and their specialty teams. All phases are just moving forward.
Cougars with a 3rd down and almost 5. We'll call it 3rd and 4.
3rd down and 5 for the Cougars.
Clock now moving to 39 and counting in the 3rd.
The ball at the 19-yard line.
He'll stay on the ground, and again, that's Wade Bolin, and Bolin's going to be stopped shy at about the 6-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal for the Cougars. And the freshman getting a couple reps here in the 3rd quarter, and he's getting some pretty good yardage.
They got speed. They have speed all over the field through every class.
That's what winning does. It breeds competition. It breeds interest.
And the one thing that the Crestview staff is doing, they're running a too tight offense. They're not doing anything fancy. They're just running the ball straight ahead.
Hayden Kuhn, the sophomore, is up under center. Yardage up to just inside the 5-yard line. That was Remington Eagle again with the carry, the sophomore. As we approach the 1-minute mark of the 3rd quarter, 1:15 and counting. And Crestview in no hurry as they are well in control of this 42-0. Stay on the ground. That's Wade Bolin. He gets into the end zone for a touchdown. So Wade Bolin into the end zone for Crestview. That's his first touchdown of the season. And Crestview, after the extra point here, looking to go up 49-0.
Number 13, Wade Bolin with the 5-yard touchdown run for the Cougars.
So Devin Holloway on to attempt the extra point. Kick is up, and it is good. And Crestview now with a 49-0 lead.
And Crestview's not doing anything fancy right now, Brian. They're just going one-on-one blocking. They're going with a 2 tight end set. They only have 1 wide out, and the quarterback is taking a snap underneath the center, and he's handing it to one of the 2 backs, and they're just plowing straight ahead.
Well, this is what we really expected to see coming into this. When you look at the seeding, you looked at the records, you looked at how Evergreen has played. I mean, this is a program that has really struggled for a long time, and they're really trying to build something in Evergreen. Aaron Schmidt in his 4th season leading the Vikings. This is only their 2nd playoff appearance ever, and their last playoff appearance was back in 1984. So Schmidt he's got a young roster that he's trying to develop, and what does that do to your psyche when you come on the road and play a team like Crestview in the playoffs?
And it's tough. Mentally, you got to get your kids ready, and they know, they're struggling right now. And you don't have your offensive line together. They haven't been working with all year. 2 of the linemen just played their first games last week, and you're just not clicking all cylinders right now. But you can't take anything away from Crestview. They are a very well coached, and they have a very good football team.
when I was coaching basketball at Mansfield Christian, our last season that I was there, we had a very young team, and we started at some points 4 sophomores, and we kept selling them on the big picture. We're looking to get better every week. We're looking to show signs of improvement, and we were really able to I think, hold that team together because of that, and that's the challenge that Aaron Schmidt faces with this young football team. Ball squirts through, and it's going to go into the end zone.
And I can attest to that. My last year at Ontario, I had a football team that went 1-9. And one of the situations, we knew going in there, we weren't going to be a very good ball club, so we played everybody. And everybody got experience, and that's kind of like Evergreen's doing right now. But then 3 years later, Scott Valentine takes a team 11-1 and goes to the playoffs. So you have to start somewhere, and that's what Evergreen's doing right now. They're starting, they're getting their experience with the kids. They just ran into a buzzsaw tonight.
Booker out of the shotgun. He'll stay on the ground. So a gain of about 3 on first down, and that may be the final play of the third quarter as time is winding down as we're inside 5 seconds. And that's going to do it for the third quarter. Crestview with a 49-0 lead as we head to the fourth. You're watching high school playoff football live and free exclusively on the OH Report.
I'm Judge Steve McKinley, and I ask you to vote for me to continue as the Richland County Juvenile Court Judge. I'll continue to give great care to helping rehabilitate troubled children, and I'll treat every person that comes before the court with dignity and respect.
Paid for by the Committee for Judge McKinley, Carl Milliron, Treasurer.
Crestview with a 49-0 lead as we head to the fourth quarter. An incomplete pass intended for Jacob Riggs.
You know, the way this game's going, all I'd like to see right now is for Evergreen to move the ball down the field. See if they can't put something together, end on a positive note tonight.
Well, they're going against a lot of replacements on the defensive side of the ball. But don't think the Crestview coaching staff is not reminding them they want to pitch the shutout. Evergreen has been shut out 3 times already this season. Ball's on the ground, and a flag is down as Booker throws it. It's complete, but let's see. This may come back.
Yeah, one of the linemen, he kind of lost his block, and to keep his quarterback from getting hurt, he reached out, grabbed the defensive Crestview player, and kind of pulled him back, and you just can't do that right in front of an official, Brian.
Yeah, that would have been a first down reception, but instead it comes back. And it's a hold against the Vikings.
That's their 4th penalty of the game. But that one hurt. When you take a look at the positive yardage they had, which was like a 28-yard pass completion, and now it turns into a minus 10 yards, and you're looking at a 3rd and 22.
So Booker out of the gun on 3rd and long. Ball on the ground again. And he just throws it out of bounds. It was Jacob Briggs was the closest receiver, but he really didn't have a shot at the ball. So that'll bring up 4th down. And Crestview should get the ball with pretty good field position here with a 49-0 lead. You know, the Vikings compete in the Northwest Ohio Athletic League. It's the oldest athletic league in Ohio, formed in 1926. So they've been playing football for almost 100 years.
And you told me earlier who the number 2 conference is?
It was the NOL before it disbanded. So the NOL was around for a long time. It was really kind of sad to see the NOL go. All this constant, high snap. And Landon Vance goes all the way up to the top of his 6'1" frame. Crestview gets it at the 44-yard line.
That was great. That was a great play by that punter, and he got it off. And
he's a big old lineman, too. He got up there and stretched his 6'1" frame and went up and got it.
And, Brian, you're right about these conferences. A lot of them are losing their identities. When you talk about the NOL and the teams that used to strive in that, when I was at Mansfield Senior High, we had the old Buckeye Conference League. You had Lorraine Admiral King, Sandusky, Fremont, Findlay, Marion. And, I mean, those teams, you played teams that every year, the players from those other teams, Elyria, you saw them on Ohio State's roster. They played for Michigan, Liggins, and Lytle, and Schumacher, and you kind of lose your identity.
We've been seeing this rotation now for the last few years, and I just wonder when it finally stops. Crestview 1st and 10 at the Viking 44-yard line. Cougars stay on the ground. That's Wade Bolin again. Bolin inside the 40 and pickup of about 5.
One of the things that really got everything started was the energy crisis. And all these athletic departments were sending their teams 2-hour bus trips. And when, fuel, there was shortage of fuel, they call it the energy crisis. And traveling to Elyria, Lorraine, that caused more money. That's when they started pulling things apart.
2nd down and 5. Again, they're letting that play clock wind down. Again, the Cougars stay on the ground. Short gain of about 3. It'll be 3rd and 4. That was another carry by Remington Eagle, the sophomore.
And one of the things that really is starting to hurt some of these schools, at one time Mansfield Senior had 500 kids in a graduating class. And now they're
Division III.
Now they're a Division III school. You go from top to bottom, and it hurts. You can't compete with the bigger schools.
Crestview can.
Oh, yeah.
3rd down and 4.
And they're taking as much time as possible.
7.5 minutes to go. Helmet comes off of the freshman, Wade Bolin. So Bolin will have to come out for this play. Bolin, it's about a yard, gets 4th down and 4.
One of the things Crestview's doing is that they're using every moment on the clock. They want the clock to run out, and they keep an eye on the one of the judges behind the defense. And when the quarterback comes up the line, he just waits till that official raises his hand. And he knows when the official raises his hand, he's got 5 seconds to snap the ball, and that's what they're doing. So the quarterback comes up to the line. He surveys everything. They have 2 tights. He's looking right at that official right now, and he's waiting for him to raise his hand in the air, and that's when he's going to snap the ball.
Steve Haverdill doing an outstanding job of managing this team, and you don't want to rub it in. Remington Eagle with the carry up to about the 30-yard line. He knows this game is won. He doesn't want to run up the score. He just wants to get off the field, his players healthy, and
the other thing he's doing, he's giving his younger kids a little bit of playing time. But more importantly than that, he's just running his base offense. You come up with 2 tights, you got 2 backs. He's giving it to the off tackle right, off tackle left. He's not doing anything fancy. He's not throwing any play action passes. He just wants to get this game over with.
They turn it over on downs, so the offense for the Vikings back out on the field with 6:24 to go. Booker swings it to the far side. That's Colin Smith. Smith with a first down. He stumbles across midfield to the 49-yard line. And a first down for the Vikings in Crestview territory. It's a nice throw to the outside. 1st and 10. Evergreen at the Crestview 49-yard line.
Quarterback has a little bit more time. Crestview is not blitzing. Evergreen quarterback has the time to overlook the field, make the good choice.
Booker thought about pitching. He's going to be brought down at the 46-yard line. Peyton Booker will be back to lead this offense next year. He's a junior, 5'11", 155 pounds. Thrown for 413 yards on the season, 4 interceptions and 4 touchdowns. Gain of about 2 on that play brings up 2nd and 8. Booker flushed out of the pocket. And there he's just running for his life as he was being chased by Dylan Nebergall.
And he's getting a little bit of experience. Even though it wasn't a great play for them, he now realizes when you're in trouble, throw the ball away. Don't get the sack. Don't lose yardage. Get the ball upfield. Try to make positive yards on every play.
3rd down and 8 as we approach the 4.5-minute mark of the ball game. It's been all Crestview, 49-0. They pitch it to the near side. That's Hudick. Hudick gets upended at about the 31-yard line. Caden Cunningham up to make the play. Another almost a bobbled snap.
That was their longest run of the afternoon, 17 yards. But then again, Crestview, they're playing their second liners right now, rotating people in freely.
So it's 1st and 10 from the Crestview 33-yard line. Hudick with a little misdirection, and he's brought down behind the line of scrimmage. That was a nice play made by Cage Briggs. Actually, they gave him a yard, so it'll be 2nd and 9, but Briggs up to make the stop. Cage Briggs, a junior. Hudick again. Inside the 30, down to about the 28-yard line.
And unlike basketball tournament, when you lose, you're out. This team here, Evergreen, they're still going to have the opportunity to still play another football game. And what the athletic director and the coaches will do, they'll get together. Well, this team lost, we lost, we're going to play each other this week. And you still get that experience. And it also brings money into your program. You're going to have one of the teams will host it. You'll have fans coming in. Your concession stands will still be working. So there's still some football left for the Evergreen football team.
With this win, the Cougars are going to go to 3-7 in their playoff history. Their other 2 wins were over Nelsonville York back in 2000, and they defeated Grandview Heights 45-29 back in 2011. Of course, they lost that heartbreaker to East Knox at the end of last season. There's Coach Haverdale.
Looking at a player of the game here, Brian.
Well, my vote goes to Chase Shiflett.
He did a great job. Quarterback did a great job. Defense did a great job. You can take your pick.
3rd down and 5. Booker out of the shotgun. They're going to run the option to the near side. That's Hudick. He's got a first down as he's down to about the 10-yard line. So they're just going to try to avoid this shutout, and they're just going to give the football to Brock Hudick. Hudick is a junior, so he'll be back next year. He's another young piece that they can build this offense around.
And he'll be a senior next year, so he's been through it, and that's what you like. You like to have seniors who've been through adversity.
Hudick up the middle, nowhere to go. Gets maybe a yard to the 10-yard line, and as you saw in that hype video at halftime, players don't want to play on a 2-8 team, and that motivates them. And guys that are on this Evergreen side and they're struggling right now, they're going to use that to motivate people in the offseason and in the season to come.
And the one thing you do, you never forget your losses. You can win all the games you won, but you'll never forget some of the losses that you have, because they just keep egging you on.
2nd and 9. Hudick tries bounce to the outside. Flag comes flying in as Hudick is down shy of the 10-yard line.
Flag on the flag.
A little bit of a holding play there.
So the penalty will be marched off against the Vikings.
I'll back them up a few yards. Recognize our JV cheerleaders while we still have a minute. JV cheerleaders are Karen Eagle. Natalia
Clock stops with 1:21 to go. 49-0.
Kaylin Stanicki.
Now they'll start the clock.
Paige Vanderpool.
Ball on the ground again, and it's going to be recovered by the quarterback, but there have been some issues on that center quarterback exchange tonight for Evergreen. They almost cough it up there as we approach the 1-minute mark of the fourth quarter.
And it's tough sometimes when you're down like this and you know the defense is going to come charging through there. You have a little bit of a bobble, and the next thing you know, somebody's all over you, and a bad situation just gets worse.
44 seconds and counting. 3rd and 29. Booker trying to set up the screen. They get it to Hudick. And he fights down to the 20-yard line, well short of the first down.
That screen pass is caught by number 21, Brock Hudick.
20 seconds, see how many more plays. It's 4th down, and I guess you're going to go for the end zone here. This is probably going to be the final play of the ball game. Or they're going to try to go for the field goal.
You just want to get that goose egg off the board no matter how you can do it.
And a timeout is going to be called by Evergreen. Alex Pete is going to come on to attempt the field goal. They have not connected on a field goal this season.
And the one thing, you just want that goose egg off the board. And they've been shut out a few times this year. They're going to give a young man the opportunity to put some points on the board.
So it'll be a 37-yard attempt by Alex Pete, the junior kicker.
Bobbled the snap.
Bad snap. And he just throws it away, and that is going to be the final play of the ball game. Crestview advances after a 49-0 lead. We'll be back to wrap it up, and we'll talk with the Crestview head coach right after this. You're watching high school playoff football live and free exclusively on the OH Report.
Kissel's Lawn Care. There's no job too big or too small for us to handle. With top-of-the-line equipment, we are guaranteed to complete your next landscaping job efficiently and professionally. A hard-working, dedicated team is what we take pride in, bringing to every job to make sure the results are the best they can be. So the next time you have a landscaping project that needs done, think smart and think Kissel.
I'm Judge Steve McKinley, and I ask you to vote for me to continue as the Richland County Juvenile Court Judge. I'll continue to give great care to helping rehabilitate troubled children, and I'll treat every person that comes before the court with dignity and respect.
Paid for by the Committee for Judge McKinley, Carl Milliron, Treasurer.
Hi, I'm Josh with Scout Construction, proud sponsor of local teams and athletes. Check out your favorite local sports right here on the OH Report.
We are back here at Crestview High School. We're joined by head coach Steve Haverdill of the Crestview Cougars. 49-0. You knew looking at the seeding that, Evergreen came in here 0-6. How did you prepare this team mentally to take on Evergreen?
Well, we treated it as another week. It was the biggest game on our schedule this week, and we knew that their conference is loaded. They play 4 state-ranked teams in their conference, and They were battled ready, and we could not take these guys lightly because we knew that they were going to come in here and fight, and I was proud of the way we handled that.
Now, we also watched Ross Kuhn tonight, 5 of 14, 68 yards, not the kind of night that he is used to putting up. He came off the field kind of hanging his arm. Was he injured? Is he okay?
No, he's good. He got hit in the funny bone and kind of went numb for there a second, and he was out for a play. But, no, they did a good job of double covering Evan and doing a good job in that secondary, giving us different looks, and our offense line did a really nice job, and we were able to open holes and just kind of like what we did against Plymouth last week. We're just going to pound it right at you. If you're going to take the pass away, we're going to run it on you, and if you're going to load the box, then we'll start throwing it on you.
Well, that's the thing that we really noticed. When the passing game wasn't going the way that you would like it to, Chase Shiflett was able to pick up the slack.
Absolutely, yeah, and he's a great runner, and Connor Morse likewise. Got a lot of confidence in both those guys, but our offense line, we got, I think, 4 starters back from the playoff team last year up front, so they're ready to go, and they've been playing some really good football up front with the blocking and open those holes for those guys.
Well, it looks like you're going to be playing Cary next week. They had a big win as well. Do you know anything about Cary?
Yeah, we've played Cary twice here in the last 2 years. Last year we beat them 3-0 at their place. In that week 3 suspended, one of those things I don't think we off the field till about 20 after midnight. They're very big. They're a very good football team. And they played East Knox last year in the regional finals after we lost to East Knox 21-20. So we know they're a very good football team, and they're going to be hungry to get after us beating them last year. And we got a work cut out for them. We're going to have to get a good week of practice and play our A game to beat those guys on their turf.
Well, congratulations, Coach, on the big win, and good luck next week. We'll be following you to Cary.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Oh, not a problem. There's head coach Steve Haverdill after a big win tonight, 49-0 over Evergreen and Bruce. This was a night that, Noose is not, or is he? Wait a minute here. We'll try to get Bruce back. There he is. He snuck back in here on me. You saw, you heard the comments that he made, and obviously you want to prepare for a team like this like you would any other game, and they came in, they looked sharp running the football, passing the ball. It was a little bit, hit or miss there, especially in that second quarter, but they did what they needed to do to get the win.
Yeah, and coach has got to be happy with the showing that a team had. They came out and they just moved the football by running it right down the field. I thought they'd be throwing the ball a little bit more, but they ran the ball well. Their defense, what an outstanding job by that first group of defensive players they have. And the other thing is their specialty teams. Their specialty teams created situations where the offense for Crestview had very short fields to run on.
I think you just nailed it. You said they created situations, and a lot of time field position is huge, and Crestview never started a drive with their backs against the wall.
And it's positive for you. They always moved the ball forward until they had that little burp just before half. They got themselves in a little bit of a problem. Everything was clicking for them. They moved the sticks efficiently. They ran the ball well. When they had to, they threw it early. And their specialty teams came up big for them.
Let's take a look at the final numbers. As you're going to see, they are heavily dominated by the Crestview Cougars. Not a big night statistically, but they did just enough. The big number there that I think the coach is going to be very pleased about, they were able to run the ball for 200 yards.
And they did a very good job with that. When they had to and they established the line of scrimmage early, they came right out and moved the ball right down the field. And once your offensive line gets their confidence going, there's nothing you can't do.
And the bulk of the yardage for Evergreen came in the second half. I think the defense for Crestview coming out and setting a tone, especially in the first quarter, and they forced 3 turnovers on the night, was huge.
That defense, they were cracking tonight. And, Evergreen's got some problems. Their offensive line wasn't exactly doing the things. They have no consistency right now. They have too many players who are in and out of their lineups. They can't get things going for them. But that Crestview defense, boy, they played man-to-man in the secondary. That gave them an extra man up front as a linebacker, and they just shut down Evergreen.
Tonight's player of the game is sponsored by Scout Construction. Hiring carpenters now. Email your resumes to josh.scoutconstruction@gmail.com to apply. And our player of the game tonight, Chase Shiflett, 13 carries. This was all in the first half, 52 yards and 2 touchdowns. He really picked up the slack when Ross Kuhn was struggling with some accuracy issues in throwing the ball.
Yeah, when it's leaders. You have leaders on the football field. When one has a down night, somebody else is going to pick it up, and that's what Chase did. And he ran the ball hard. He made things happen for him. He kept the sticks going forward, kept positive yards for him.
With the win, Crestview is now 6-1. They will advance next Saturday to take on Cary at Cary, and that's a game that you can see right here on the OH Report. Evergreen ends this portion of their season anyway. They're 0-7. The final score tonight, Crestview 49 and Evergreen nothing. Our thanks to tonight's broadcast team. Our producer is Adam Thompson, and the fine camera work was courtesy of Ramos Euskouras, Zach Fraley, and Trey Coopwood. But most of all, our thanks to you for joining us. Once again, the final score from Crestview, the Cougars 49 and Evergreen nothing. You've been watching high school football live and free exclusively on the OH Report, powered by BS Media Productions. Thanks again to our generous sponsors for making all this possible. Keep it locked into the OH Report, your new home for live coverage of North Central Ohio sports and beyond. For Bruce Wyrick, I'm Brian Harder. So long from Crestview.